Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the records, Suburbanite and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center. So, this is our pre-meeting, and due to an expected light turnout, we are going to stay in this room tonight rather than go into the big room for our public meeting, which starts at 7:45. So, first of all, Lisette, do you have anything for us?
No.
Well, you might want to announce that we're going to have a closed session.
Yes, the agenda, I sent an email
Right.
yesterday. The agenda was updated. If you didn't have a chance to refresh your browser, for a closed session matter under attorney-client privilege regarding the sale and lease of the property. It's on the agenda that was posted and on the agendas that are out on the table.
Thank you. Okay, Bill, do you have
No
anything?
change, no. No change.
Does anybody have anything for the pre-meeting? If you want to bring up anything to be discussed at future work sessions, now is the time to do it rather than wait till the public meeting. That's good to hear.
Actually, we do. Can we add for the next work session discussion about the exterior of the Stop and Shop? Please?
Well, sure. I mean, it's private property. What exactly do you have in mind, Tom?
The rear and the side of the property is deplorable.
Well, the rear and the side was not changed.
No, it's deplorable. You know, when there's comments made in the newspaper that, you know, we've rejuvenated the downtown and beautified the Stop and Shop and that whole, yes, the front of it, but the back is still a disaster. There's still weeds and grease, and I'm not sure if the health department even gets to go do inspections the way they should be. It's a disaster. Garbage, those round, what do they call, minis or the little dumpsters lined up. It's horrible.
Well,
It's absolutely horrible.
I have had major discussions with the developer about the dumpsters, okay? What they're going to do is they're going to put a fence between the dumpsters and the parking area, okay? Only one, the dumpster area has four sides. One side is the building, and then there's the Grove Street side, the parking lot side, and the Chestnut Avenue, Chestnut Road side, Chestnut Street side. They're going to put a reasonably attractive fence along the eastern border, which will cut down on the visibility of the dumpsters from the main parking area. They're reluctant to do anything on the other two sides, which would create an issue for trucks getting in and out to clean up, to empty the dumpsters. So my feeling is, let's let them put that fence up, and then we'll see what it looks like and how it's being taken care of. But it will be.
I would just maintain it.
It will be. Well,
It's nasty. It's garbage galore. It's horrible.
I'll remind the store manager. I'm in there all the time. That there's been some discussion about that. We can't really make them do anything to the rear wall, although we can make them or suggest to them that they maintain that area better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll ask her to take a walk around it with me.
And is there any update, Paul, concerning the circle about Nicaresco?
There's, apparently they were going to get a request for bids, and I haven't heard anything.
It's moving along rather slowly, but it is moving forward. And Paul, would you ask for a report at our next work session from them as to exactly where we are in
From whom?
Well, from the HPC.
Yeah, but I don't think it's in the HPC's
Well,
lap
ask Karen, because they have a little committee.
Because she's asked me,
Yes.
and she said, has Jewel or anybody gotten because she was supposed to get the bids for it. They
Well,
allocated the 100,000 with the ordinance, and now.
Why don't you see if Karen can come to the next meeting?
Mhm.
If she says she can, ask Lisette to put the park on the agenda, and let's have a little discussion with Jewel and Karen and all of us as to where it's going.
And have we officially designated the name of
Well, I would believe that would come when the park is constructed, and we put money in the budget for it, though, right?
Yes.
So there's money there. I know that they have a design for the monument, and I'm not sure if the holdup is a design for the landscaping or whatever. So let's have her come in and let's discuss
in
where.
2 weeks for the
Yeah.
combined.
We don't have. Do we have a lot for that meeting?
So far that.
All right.
On the short meeting?
And they're gonna come with a plan so we can take.
There's-
Well,
they don't get-
whatever they have, you're
Yeah.
assuming they might have a plan. They might not even have.
I would
plan.
even like to. They said that they have a
We
an
are
Oresco
dual looking.
monument kind of design.
Yeah.
I would like to see
Well, that
that.
we've seen already. That was discussed in length here quite some time ago.
Some time ago, but is that the same or are we gonna have some changes?
No, I don't know that we. We basically approved the design of the monument.
Yeah.
We're gonna get ideas.
So now we're just waiting to see, exactly where we're plopping down that monument.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, anything else, folks?
Susan has to explain, we have to add under new business a resolution to implement a couple of minor policies because best practices requires.
Okay. We'll discuss that in the new business.
Yes.
I would tell you this, that at the mayor's breakfast on Tuesday, we had a little bit of a discussion over this best practices thing because, once again, this is something that was thrust upon municipalities by the state, typical of the state basically saying, this is what we want you to do, don't worry about what we're doing, because they're asking us to do a lot of things that they don't do. So, I know that the Bergen County League of Municipalities, which is made up of all these mayors, we're probably going to send a resolution to our legislators, suggesting that this, like the user-friendly budget, these are all things that take up a lot of time and money, which is money, and we don't see a terrific benefit from them. The user-friendly budget sounds on paper like it'd be a good idea, but there's no reason why the real budget can't be user-friendly. And it is, so to anybody that really wants to look at it. So, unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion to close the pre-meeting.
So let's close the.
Such enthusiasm. Thank you, Max. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll see you right back here in 6 minutes. Don't get lost.
Next in Tuesday.
Good evening, everybody. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied.
Taken out and discussed and,
Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted in the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Do we have a flag? Yes. A salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Here.
Councilmember Bash?
Here.
Councilmember Park?
Here.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Here.
Mayor Russell?
Here. I'll entertain a motion to approve the following sets of minutes on September 6th, the work session and the closed session, September 13th, the regular meeting, and September 27th, the work and closed sessions. Motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Once again, enthusiasm underwhelms me. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Revisions to the agenda?
I don't have any, but Councilman Barzalato was just asking about removing something from the consent agenda.
R 16-349.
349, which is...
Q.
349 is item
No
Q,
repayment?
The road probing road.
road paving program.
Okay. You wanted to remove it? Yeah, you want to vote on it
Discuss.
separately?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Audience, and we also have a closed session.
Yes, we do.
Audience remarks for agenda items? Anybody care to speak on an agenda item? Yes.
I hadn't planned to speak, but I plan to
Well,
speak about this issue at some point. And
Name and address, please.
that would be a good idea too. Johanna Gamro, Ravine Road. When I got the newsletter this time. I read through until the bottom paragraph on the first page, and the whole thing is about public safety. And it said motorists need to be extra watchful for the increased vehicles, pedestrians, and bicycles on the roads, sidewalks. And I know there's an ordinance about Washington Street and bicycles, skateboards, and things like that on wheels. And this is for Tony. Safety of the people, not to the safety of the bikers or the skateboarding people, but the safety of the people walking on the sidewalk. You come out of a store and all of a sudden a bike zips by, or you're trying to walk down the sidewalk. Just a few days ago, I could hear a skateboarder behind me, but I didn't know which way they were going to go, and I always decide I'm going to stay in the lane where I am, so that they can choose where they want to go. But it's just not good. If you want business to thrive, I think the ordinance should be enforced about no bike riding on the sidewalks on Washington Street. That's where the main business district exists.
We'll remind the chief of that.
And what I suggest is this. In fact, I just was in Cliffside Park. They have a green sign, much like the mayor's parking spot. And when you enter Tenafly on Engle Street from Englewood, with white letters, and it says, no skateboarding, no bicycles, so-and-so on the sidewalk in a certain area. And it makes sense. It's just someday somebody's going to get hurt. And I think what I would like to see is over maybe by the post office is one of those green signs with white letters just simply stating this, and this, not allowed on the sidewalks. And it's not a very big place. We're not taking every sidewalk in town. It's the most narrow sidewalk that we have, and it just doesn't fit all that stuff. So from the safety point of view, I hope Tony will back me up and do help with the research and the ordinance that's already on the books and post it on with a green sign, white letters, both ends, because when I just mention it to kids sometimes when they're being rambunctious, Friday afternoons, let's say, they have no idea. Adults have no idea that that's not allowed. To me, common sense would rule, but not a whole lot of that in our society at large nowadays.
About a sign that says common sense should prevail. All right, thank you, Mayor. Yes.
I want to ask you a question about...
You need to identify yourself for the
Paul
tape.
Hummel, Northern Valley Press. R16-350, demolition building at 5 South Summer Street. I know the council went into a closed session last week. I was wondering if there was any change from what was discussed at the open meeting.
No.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 349.
Can I comment something about the consent agenda?
First, let's get a motion and a second, then you may comment.
Absolutely.
A motion? A second?
Second.
Okay.
Just want to say that in this bid, we have the purchase.
What are you referring to?
It's R16-339.
339?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the bid to purchase the vehicle and
339.
339, yeah. And basically, Julia and I worked together on this bid. We made sure that the vehicle is not going to have anything that might be close to a specific type of vehicle, a specific type of brand, or anything less. So we hope that this is going to be one of those very successful bids.
Are you inferring that some of the bids aren't successful?
Some of the bids, for example, when I modify this bid has specifically has to be a V10 engine, has to be the lift has to be above the rear wheel. I took all this stuff that was specifically designed for one vehicle, and I said it can be for either gas or diesel. The leaf can be in a proper way where it should be, rather than have specific design. So that some of the bits are not exactly very widely designed.
Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefani?
Yes.
Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to approve the Q R16-349.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion.
Oh, one second, let's get a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion?
First of all, Mayor, I believe that your comments in regards to the displeasure of the holdup concerning road paving in the borough of Tenafly is 100% correct. I think it's, I'm not sure what happened or why it happened. It certainly should not have happened. But I will tell you this, that I'm going to vote no on this, because I believe that we should postpone the road paving until next year, all of the road paving. And I'm going to tell you why. I've done some research, plus I spoke to a contractor who has been in the business for over 40 years. And he said that when you go to put the asphalt down, when the weather is changing, such as now towards the end of October into November, the ground is cold, and the heat gets drawn in, gets sucked in from the asphalt into the ground, and that asphalt will start to separate. And it will be a problem. So much that, you won't notice it right away, but you will notice it maybe within 6 months to a year because of the way it was installed. So I would, to go forward, if we're going to approve this 2016 road paving program, that we should get a written guarantee from the contractor that it's going to be able to withstand the conditions.
Well, I believe we should approve this tonight. What we can do is reach out to the borough engineer tomorrow and first ask for his comments on this, because I would have a hard time believing that the borough engineer, Mazer, would allow us to move forward with a paving program if what you're telling me is accurate. Now, obviously, a lot of this stuff is weather-related, so if the weather gets to a point where they're not going to be able to do this, but I don't think we're at that point now. I think the intent right now, Tony, is to do as much as we can before the weather breaks. But let's approve this tonight, because they had a pre-construction meeting yesterday. It was Yom Kippur, so I wasn't able to attend. But the intent is to move this project along very quickly and get I know a lot of residents, in a couple of streets in particular, are quite anxious to get their roads done, and they would be very upset to be told that they can't. It's not going to happen until next year. But
there is a point, though, that Tony has made. I think that's pretty much valid in all the contracts. Do we have a warranty from the actual? Whenever we do a contract, then the specific item is going to last a certain period of time. So, yeah, some sort of a warranty part of the.
I would believe that most of these projects are not unique to Tenafly. And if you're suggesting that Tenafly should have a unique contract, I'm not sure you're going to get a lot of bidders giving you more of a guarantee than you normally get. We basically read the Riot Act to our borough engineer this year. Both you and I were very specific with him about it, and he assured us that he'll do everything within his power to make sure the work is done correctly and that the work will last as long as possible. And that aside, we all know that due to the material they're using, which is state contract, which we don't have a choice for, Max, things aren't working as well as they did 20 years ago. But that's endemic not to just to Tenafly, but to everywhere.
The point what Tony was making, and is there some sort of a warranty in our contract, just for information purposes?
We'll find
and we will vote on it with with the actual preconditions or whatever conditions that we understand that if there are issues with the weather, if we have to postpone in order to get a good result, we should do so.
Absolutely. Okay.
And I will also just say, Mayor, that I'm very disheartened with the fact that we have not put Fremont Road as a priority. That road is,
Piermont Road is
I
going.
mean, I see cars avoiding the
Piermont Road
potholes.
is going to be, assuming this Transportation Trust Fund gets approved, Piermont Road will be, financed by the state rather than by the town. So that's why I believe we were held off on until this year. This year is supposed to be Jefferson, and next year will be Piermont Road. So it's a lot of money. So I would
Jefferson.
urge you
Big
to
old
approve
move.
this tonight because we've already had a pre-construction meeting, and we need to get started on this. But we will follow up on those two questions, the weather-related issues and the warranty. So please call the question.
Councilmember Barzalato?
No.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes,
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefano?
Yes.
it's a tight vote, 3-1.
Next is committee reports. Dan, you have anything?
No, you don't.
Tony?
Mr. Mayor, first, on behalf of the Tenafly Volunteer Fire Department, I want to thank the mayor and council for their assistance, for their financial assistance, and for their participation in the Northern Valley Fire Chiefs Parade, which was held this past Sunday. It was, unfortunately, the weatherman didn't cooperate until the end of the parade, but it was still very much a success. A lot of people did come out and weathered the storm, and it went over very well. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's unfortunate the weather was a great parade, and we had a pretty good turnout considering the weather broke just before the parade started, which is, small consolation. Paul, you have anything?
Only that the HPC is sponsoring an event at Tenafly High School Media Center, October 25th. Dr. Ann Gordon from Rutgers is speaking. She's an expert on Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She'll be speaking about the suffragist attempt to vote at Tenafly High School. It is a Tuesday night. I guess we'll be here at 7 p.m.
That's in conflict with our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Max, you have anything?
No,
Okay. While I have you here, just a couple of things will be like my committee report. First of all, at the League of Municipalities, which I believe you're all attending, there is a business meeting on Thursday afternoon at 3:30. Any of you planning on staying at that time? We're going to be in Atlantic
Is that for
City at
Bob?
3.
I don't remember
I'm
what.
sorry?
Is that for Bob? I think Bob just won an award, didn't he?
No, Bob Culver.
Yeah.
Well, that may be there, but the reason I'm bringing this up is every year I get this form designate of an alternate voting delegate, because I usually right after lunch on Thursday. If anybody is planning on staying and would like to sit in the business meeting and cast a vote, let me know. It's number one.
Designated.
Number two, so I find this a little amusing, just to let you know that after the article on our booming downtown, I got a email from a gentleman at Verizon, who's the government account executive, asking us if we'd like to be interested in parking meters.
Verizon.
Next, just to confirm, because if this is the case, I'm going to ask Lisette to take care of this. I believe you all got invitations to the dinner held by our auditors on Wednesday night. And we've never gone to this. We've always had our own dinner, which we, the elected officials, have paid for. But this would be a free dinner. And I understand it's a wonderful dinner. I've never been to the Ram's Head, and every year I'd like to go, but we always have our dinner. So I think we talked about going to this, and if you all agree, I'll ask Lisette to RSVP for our group.
It's just that some of us, I usually come with my wife. I don't know.
That's okay.
She's welcome.
Your wife can come.
Okay.
Just Lisette, you have the head count for all of us, right? Give them that. If you don't have a car, it's a short distance from Atlantic City. We'll carpool.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Next, I wanted to let you know that I went to a meeting in Jersey City. This is actually a couple in September. I forgot to report on it last time. Held by the Port Authority about the new bus terminals. they sent this out generically to all elected officials. Very few. Loretta Weinberg was there, of course, because she's very interested in this. And I decided to go simply because I know we have a lot of commuters here that have to suffer through the bus terminals, whether it's 42nd Street or the George Washington Bridge bus terminal. I personally was very disappointed with the way they were laying things out. I did speak. I think my comments were agreed upon by other speakers. There was a couple of mayors of towns like Weehawken and Hoboken that are more involved, but everybody seemed to agree that we didn't think they were headed in the right direction. So to fix my wig, and they invited me to another meeting Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, World Trade Center 4.
Good.
I don't know how I'm going to get there. I would like to go, but it's not
Take
really
the bus.
not really a good commute. Not a bus. So if anybody's would be interested in going to that, let me know. We can go on the bus together. Last but not least, I spoke to the chief. You know, when we have something like community night, we had this for the firemen's parade, and there's streets closed off. They sent a code red out. And my own feeling is, I don't think that's necessary. First of all, a lot of people don't pay attention to the code reds. And the more code reds you send out, you know, for something like that, I think the next time they get that emergency thing on.
I agree with that.
So I want to ask your opinion, and I'm sorry that Jewel wasn't here. I meant to ask, do it last time and I forgot. How do you feel about the use of code red for changes in street traffic on an event like community night, the firemen's parade, where they'll close off one street or two streets?
There's an easier way to do it. If we call Bergen County OEM, they will bring 2 to 3 of those lit signs.
Mhm.
I mean, you can borrow them from every other town next to us. You get 2. Just the chief just has to ask to borrow them. Just put them up in different spots. We had one for fire parade, but it was in the middle of. It was right next to the Tenafly sign right here, nowhere else.
And the question is,
if you
should
had
we
it-
in advance notify the town about something like that?
No,
And
you-
that's the issue.
No,
Do
you
you
don't.
use a code red
no,
type
don't use
emergency,
the code red.
or
Just
you
leave
find?
just leave out the
Tony,
sign for a week.
You're the OEM. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the code red was always designed to be a notification avenue for the citizens. I mean, I personally, I don't think that it's used, it's not like it's not being used where it's becoming a problem, I don't think, anyway. I mean,
Well, you're right. I mean, code red was really, at this point, we actually went to the expense of having unlimited use of it, because in years past, when we went over a little bit, it cost us a lot of money. So we do have the ability at no extra cost to send out as many code reds as we want. The question becomes, do you want to use code red for something of this nature? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a matter of whether, you think, what do you think the average person really
Yeah.
is going to absorb what you're telling them?
So this
I
would
like
be my
things
opinion.
like
Okay.
Both are fine, really.
So this would be my opinion. There is nothing wrong with a notification of the town. The only thing is when the notification comes and says, I am Chief Chamberlain, and I always say, well, something is wrong. And so notifying the town maybe on a different type of message
Sergeant?
would be okay. Yeah, Sergeant Oresco here. Whatever. No, but so
That
it's
ought to get their attention.
yeah. That would make it a softer
Well-
type of rather than anytime I say this is Chief Chamberlain.
I
Something
think
happened.
it makes sense, though, first of all, to identify the voice at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because we get so much spam on our phones now. I don't know about you, but I'm getting 20 calls a day, including at least 8 from Phil Murphy on every one of my lines.
Come Sunday.
And frankly, I don't listen to any of them. But if it's Chief Chamberlain or somebody who I feel has a message of interest to me locally, I would listen. So I'm not. I understand what you're saying, but I think the question comes down,
Maybe you should be the voice.
Either or Lizette, maybe we should have.
This is Mayor.
well, I have no
Usually
problem,
what I
you know,
have is
with traffic stuff, I have no problem with the chief doing it. I think that's appropriate, but, okay, we'll leave it
Both
go for
options
now.
are fine.
Uh,
And while we're on that subject, as far as outreach or public outreach for stuff like that, I found out about the road closings through Tenafly Police Department's Facebook. If there was maybe a streamlined, I guess Facebook's the best one, like a streamlined one, where I think we should explore more outreach for events and stuff like that.
Well, like you say, I mean, Tenafly, does the borough have their own Facebook page? No. Okay, but the police do.
Police and rec.
And theirs is good. It's always updated, always new event stuff,
Good.
good pictures.
Okay. Next is old business, new business. We're going to introduce an ordinance tonight.
Yes.
Hold on a second. Paul, you want to take it, since it's a historic designation?
Sure. I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 16-18 and set the hearing for November 21st, 2016 at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter in the council chambers of the Tenafly Municipal Center.
A second, please.
Second.
What's that?
Ordinance number 16-18, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the Borough of Tenafly adopted on February 9, 2016, and to amend and supplement the land development regulations of the Borough of Tenafly to designate certain properties within the borough historic as set forth in the Historic Preservation Plan of the Master Plan of the Borough of Tenafly and amending Chapter 35 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly entitled Land Development Regulations. Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Spot?
Yes.
Okay, Susan, you want to explain the best practices inventory?
Sure. Okay, so as the mayor said, annually we have a best practices worksheet to complete, and Jewel, myself, and Lizette have to certify that we are answering it truthfully. Some of the first change was that last year we had 50 questions. This year we have 30. Last year you could answer as perspective, meaning that you could, complete it sometime soon. This year you have to have either yes, no, or not applicable. We have, in order to, one of the requirements of this worksheet is that you have to have 22 affirmative answers in order to receive your aid. Our aid is over $1 million.
How much was it, sorry? How much was that number?
1 million, no, 1 million, one energy receipts.
So he said, what was that number? You said over $1 million.
Yeah, over $1 million. It's due by October 21st. When I went to the government finance officers meeting, many of my colleagues that attended, they were already looking at it. That was last month. And they, to your point, they feel it's, added unnecessary work. One of the things that I noticed was when I was filling this out, they're asking for a lot of dates. Now, they should know that they received the documentation, so I had to go back and look for the dates, go through my emails. Lizette had to help with the dates and find when everything was filed. So we did very well. One of the reasons why we're doing well is that we do comply with many of these items already. We had 29 affirmative answers out of 30. There was one item which was an audit finding that was in 2014-15 related to purchase orders, which I am presently working on making sure that it's not there.
I think it's number 14,
Number 10.
10?
Number 10. And what I'm doing is, I have mentioned it at staff meetings, I've addressed the issue in borough-wide emails, and I've also implemented internal controls within our department. Our internal controls are reviewing the POs, the invoices, to see the dates of the invoices as compared to when the requisitions are being done. Of course, utilities and items like that, an auditor would not write down, because it's like a necessity and we have to have that. This document is due on October 21st. In order to also get two more affirmative answers, yes. The reason for the resolution is we implemented 2 policies. They didn't have to be anything elaborate, just brief. They were for number 3 and number 11. Many of our questions we've addressed already. They're covered in our personnel manual. There was about 8 new questions, but even though they had 8 new questions, they tweaked some of the other questions that were there before. Like they might ask for you to send something to the Division of Local Government Services, or they asked for additional information to be posted on our website. So on our website we show our budgets, but they also want our annual financial statements and our audit. So those things, you can cure anything in here, and that's why all these answers are going to stay just the way they were. We are going to put on the financial statements and the audit before the 21st so that we can comply with that. Otherwise, that would have been a no. So there's actually a little more than 2 that probably would have been no. But we are ensuring that we get those type of things done. And this way we have more transparency to the public. But really, if somebody wanted those documents, they would be free to see them.
Well, I think you and Jewel have done an excellent job in putting this together, not only putting it together, but putting us in a position where we could say yes to all but one.
And Lizette was a big
And
help.
Lizette.
Yeah, she really, and also Carol Byrne. She looked at some of this. It was a collaboration between the assessor, the clerk, the administrator, the tax office, myself. So,
Any comments or questions from the council?
Well done.
Well done. Thank you, Susan.
Well, I need a motion and a second to adopt this resolution to implement the policies.
Can we implement this resolution without going through the work session and all the other stuff?
No, because this is so that way we could, like Susan mentioned, this resolution is so that way we could answer yes to 2 of the questions.
Well, I'm saying this is a resolution. It can be done without going through a work session before being presented in a final.
Yes, because it's to comply with the state requirement.
Motion, please.
Yeah, motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Park? Councilmember Zapata?
Yes.
Okay. I believe that concludes our public meeting. Audience remarks for non-agenda items? Okay, you want to read the closed session?
You did your mayor's remarks, I guess, right? Okay.
Unremarkable, yes.
Okay, resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:12, Mayor Council. The Borough of Tenafly will go into closed executive session to discuss the following matter. It's really an attorney-client privilege matter concerning the potential sale of borough property. This will be taken in this meeting and released to the public at the time this matter is resolved. After this closed executive session, Mayor Council will reconvene in this Richard D. Wilson Committee Room to adjourn this public meeting.
Motion to go into closed?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
But before we go into close, Tony, I just wanted to say that I noticed in the newspaper today that there was a serious fire in Englewood Cliffs. 11 towns responded, including Tenafly. I will tell you that the thing that strikes me the most when we have the, I guess it was mayor's remarks after, the parade, is the fact that all these towns are volunteers. And it's remarkable how well they work together. And this thing at Englewood Cliffs was just a very, very good example of how all these small towns get together. We certainly have the equipment, but it's the manpower that's the challenge. And I was very impressed. We also, in the parade, we had our junior firemen walking. And it's nice to see that we're getting some youth and some younger people into the fire department. The department, please send along our thanks and our congratulations to our fire department for us, please. Okay, closed session. Thank you all for coming.
Okay.
Have a safe trip home.